Isa, I'm ready whenever you are. What's up, guys? This is Shaz from Private Club Motors. Finally here, long-awaited PCM After Hours podcast. We'll be speaking to different guests on a weekly basis, hopefully. We'll be inviting business owners, entrepreneurs, influencers that want to talk about their journey and share it with us, and we'll share our journey with them. Today, I have a very special guest. He's my brother, first of all, Shaz. He runs and operates Muse Hookah Cafe in Sugar Land, Texas. They're one of the elite spots currently in Houston in the hookah industry. They do a lot of cool stuff, and I'll let Shaz tell you guys a little bit more about it, and then we'll dive in and see what we have to talk about. Shaz, welcome to our first podcast.
What's going on, man?
You are our first podcast guest, and I hope you're excited just as much as we are.
I am. I think this is going to be a good start. It's going to be something interesting for everybody to see.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young entrepreneurs that we know of.
Yeah.
So this is going to be good, man. A lot of information that we want to share with people regarding businesses, how to start one up, what really goes on behind the scenes. I know it looks all nice and fun when you own a business, but see the shiny stuff around it.
Yep.
But the nitty gritty stuff, the grind that goes behind it, we don't get to get our haircuts every week just like everybody else. But
is this why we have dark circles?
This is exactly why we have dark circles. we don't get enough sleep.
Yeah, we don't get much sleep. We work. It doesn't seem like it to most people, but we're constantly working 24 hours a day for the most part. We'll get a little bit of rest, but we're back on it. As a business owner, you are kind of employed by your company throughout the whole time, and you kind of have to just adjust and adapt to the environment and kind of continue with it
to a certain extent. Yeah, I mean, we know most successful, we see a lot of videos nowadays. There's a lot of information out there, like on social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram Reels and stuff like that, and we hear all these big time guys out there that have really made it, always talking about if you're working for your own business, then you're not really a business owner.
Correct.
You've just created a job for yourself. I get that to a certain extent, but I also feel like, man, if you're not working and doing what you like to do and why you started that business in the first place, and that passion is not there behind it, then it really isn't worth it.
Right.
If money is the only goal, you could do that from a job, right?
Correct.
You really don't have to care about your job. You can get the money out of it. Especially like people like you and I, like, we're well educated in our in our places,
right?
That we can get high paying jobs for and get paid, sit at home, come back home at 7 p.m. and not even care about what's going on.
And I did that.
Yeah, you did that for a while.
Right after college, after I graduated, I did 2.5 years of corporate.
True.
Was in corporate America. To me, at that time, that was the American dream.
Correct.
Get a high-paying job, work 9 to 5, and get your PTO days that you have for 14, 19 days a year.
Right.
And we kind of celebrated that for some reason. And then very shortly after that...
You celebrated it. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't.
So very shortly after that, I think I realized I had a lot more potential than to just work in a position. I did feel like I had the talent to kind of run my own thing and do it on our own. And at that time, Shaz was actually running Dawra's Automotive, what it used to be, what Private Club Motors used to be known as. And you did a hell of a job. And for me to come in and, not kick you out, but we opened Muse a couple of years after.
So the thing was, like, we both had different views of success in life.
Yeah.
Right. And we had two different paths of going about it. And that's how most people are, to be very honest, especially people that are just about to graduate.
Yeah.
It's always like you have two mindsets. You're either all about, man, I'm going to go get a job and I'm going to, get to such a high position and I'm going to live that, that ideal corporate New York life. Like, I'm going to be in a condo, an apartment, you know what I mean?
For sure.
And have that respect and all that. And then there's contrary, like my perspective was that I don't want to give my talents to someone else and be undervalued for what I know I can bring to the table. I don't want to be employed by someone else. I'd rather be employed by myself.
Yeah.
And, grow something that I can be proud of eventually, right?
For sure.
I might not make as much money as the guy that's in corporate today, but my goal is that, one day I can be that guy that goes, you know what, this is my company
Correct.
and I've hired all these people now.
Correct. Well, there's pros and cons
Absolutely.
to every corporate job. I mean, for me at least, when I was in college and I was with my group of friends in college, I think our last year or our last semester in school, there was sort of a competition on who gets the best job and who gets the highest paying job. I had a friend of mine that actually went straight to his business. He didn't do a job, but for the most part, I think it's kind of just built into you, or they kind of feed it into you while you're in school that, hey, the goal is to get a good job.
Correct.
It's never to
somewhere.
open up a company or, start something of your own. And in addition to all of that, I mean, I think actually going into corporate and doing those 2 years, 2.5 years, it really does give you a new perspective about.
It definitely gives you a whole new skill set
right.
that you never had.
So even when I did quit and started with you to come into the dealership business, I do think that there was a good amount of tools and skill sets that were brought in to kind of organize the company a little bit, because these corporate companies are corporate companies because they figured it out. They figured out what employees do they need, how the operation is going to be handled, for them not to be in the office. So eternally, for me, I agree with you for the most part that if you don't have the passion and if you're not hardworking about your company, it's not going to work.
Absolutely not.
It's true, it's not going to work.
If you don't sign up for the sleepless nights,
correct,
you're not going to do it.
100%. But I do think the long-term goal should be where it is a self-sufficient business without your requirement.
100%.
Now, that does mean that you no longer have much say in what happens in your business because you've decided to move away from that role, which I think me and you are too involved in our business, which is a good thing because we're able to add our ideas and whatever new things we come up with, new strategies, new ideas. I think we are doing that. So,
well, see, the reason why we do that right now is because there's a certain goal, right?
For sure.
The goal is for you and I, it's to grow this business to a certain point that we both know what that point is. Not until then, we don't want to step out, right?
Correct.
Obviously, yeah, the end goal is to eventually step out, be that guy that's sitting on a beach with a laptop in his hand and just, operating from there.
That's only fun for 1 week.
Right, but that's what I'm
Trust
saying.
me.
That's the ultimate goal, right? It's that fantasy goal that, I'm going to be there one day that, I'm just going to make 2 calls, video conference somebody and make sure that I'm still making money back home kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
So we can still do what we want to do and everybody else is doing their job. But, that's far out there for us, right?
For sure.
But I do want to go back to what you just said about the skill set that you brought upon and all that. I want to take a step back. I want to tell everyone that, what Dawra's Autos was originally, where it started from.
For sure.
And what made me reach out to you and tell you to come in at that point was because Dawra's Autos at the time was a small dirt lot.
For sure.
Right? In the middle of neighborhoods.
Yeah, next to a gas station.
Next to a gas station. There was no official power line or plumbing over there or a bathroom there, so it was just like a trailer office.
Yep, porta
potties and and it was 12 to 15 cars at a time kind of a thing.
It was a shit show.
It was a complete shit show. And I mean, it is what it is. That's where
that's where
the business starts, right?
Sure.
And I had originally had a very limited amount of money because just like you said, you out of college went straight to working in corporate.
Yeah.
And I went straight into business. So,
sure.
At that young age, you have a very limited amount of resources, right?
For sure.
Resources, connections.
Yeah,
Connections is a big thing in business, and we didn't have many of those. Neither did we have the recognition or the credibility at the time
100%.
that people will come back us up like they do today.
For sure.
You and I sit in meetings all the time,
yeah.
right? People going, hey, I have this idea, I have that idea, or I want to do this with you guys, I want to do that with you guys. This is being offered now after 10 years of business where people have seen, okay, you know what? We've seen their progression. They're succeeding constantly. Every year they're doing something new. That's now. So in that beginning phases of that business, right, it was all about putting it all together, seeing if there's a proof of concept. Even though it wasn't making a lot of money, it was making some money.
It was always making money.
It was making some money.
Yeah.
And when the opportunity arrived where I was like, you know what? I need a secondary person because the operation was getting a little bit out of my control where I can't handle all of it. And it's getting to a point where I'm losing money.
Yeah.
Because if I had a secondary person, we can make more money.
Right.
Right. And there is no one ever better to be partners with your business, in your business than your own family, right? and I had a great asset sitting around. Not sitting around, you were busy, but
For sure.
I knew you had a skill set. You had 2 years. You were already going through a phase where you're questioning your decision and being in corporate at that time, right? You were
100%.
like not completely happy, and honestly, you weren't happy not because of the money. You were just tired of living your 9 to 7 life, 8
the
to
rush
7,
hours,
the rush hour, driving to
my
downtown and all that stuff. You just didn't want to do that anymore, And so when I came to you and I offered, hey, why don't you come in? And I'll promise to try to make you as much money as you are right now.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if we did or not.
No, I took a pay cut, big pay cut.
But at least you became your own boss,
For
right?
sure.
And the money you were earning now, it was based on your credit,
Your performance,
your
correct.
potential, and there was no ceiling.
There was no ceiling.
There was no ceiling. You could have done it all, and you could take it as far as you can. And
which we are not able to. I mean, what we've done in the 10 years.
Absolutely.
I think even now, like, I still question myself thinking this is not big enough. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers have seen what Private Club Motors is today. And, to be on the freeway and have a full indoor showroom for all our cars, the type of inventory we're carrying, the different things we can offer to the customers now, like different banks and financing and warranties and all that. It definitely, we did change, and I kind of did prove myself wrong that, hey, there was no ceiling. You're right.
Absolutely. And I mean, you didn't change, you evolved.
Evolved,
That's how I would put it.
Uh-huh.
We didn't change, we evolved with the time in the business or in the opportunities that we had. To be very honest, we're very proud and humble about the fact, but,
100%.
the fact that the inventory that we have today, just one of our units on the floor is worth what was those 15 units at the time on a dirt lot.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So that makes a huge difference. That shows the progression in the business.
For sure.
Right? And now, yes, we do cater to a completely different demographic, but at the same time, we didn't leave the original demographic behind either.
Never.
We still keep that inventory because we have that book of clientels that have that faith and trust in us. To be very honest, those people, since the beginning, they still call me till date, right?
Yep.
And they go, hey, I need a car. And trust me, they're not looking for a $100,000 car.
They're not.
They're still looking for that $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 car, and they just call us. They have that trust factor. They go, hey, I need another one. They give us the old one back, and they take a new one out. So we're not going to leave those people behind either. Those are our original clientele.
I'm so sick and tired of this guy talking about the dealership when I wanted him to talk about Muse.
Man,
I was supposed to talk about the dealership, but it's all good since he said a lot of it. I'm gonna cut him off right here. Tell us about Muse. That's what people want to know. Tell us about the secret recipes and all these crazy mocktails you've created and all the burgers and wings and all the great stuff you're serving.
For that,
that's what we want to know. We want to know, how the heck did you go from selling cars, getting me on board, and then going, all right, now that I have you on board, you handle car dealership, and I'm gonna go start up Muse.
That was the long-term plan, That was the hidden plan behind bringing you in,
Okay, let me tell you a backstory. Since we're official, and everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
Thing is, we have a lot of friends, we have a lot of peers, a lot of people that want to know the story,
Yeah.
a lot of people that just want to talk to you about
Absolutely.
what's going on in your business and how you're doing it. And I'll be honest, after getting married and all that good stuff, I really don't have time to really be out and hang out with people and stuff like that. So I think this would be a good way to kind of speak to everyone that wanted to speak. And I'm sure you guys can ask us questions in the comments below if there's anything that you want us to answer for you. But what I really want to talk about is, well, let me tell you the secret first. The secret is, Shaz actually wanted to open up a hookah lounge back in 2010.
Yeah, about 10 years.
About 10, 12 years
10,
ago.
Before the car business, I wanted to do a hookah lounge.
Before he started the car dealership, he wanted to do a hookah lounge. And you'll be very surprised. We are brown, so our parents told him, if you open up a hookah lounge, no one's gonna marry you. So
no one's gonna marry you. We're gonna look bad. What are we gonna tell people? Our son owns a hookah lounge.
Yeah, and I think times have changed. Back in 2010 or around that time,
it just wasn't as accepted.
It wasn't as socially
even
accepted.
when we were smoking hookahs, we would hide the fact that we're doing it.
Correct.
It was looked down upon.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the market has changed so much.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy you were finally able to do what you always wanted to do.
True.
Obviously, you had to do it after you got married.
Yeah.
So mom and dad didn't get pissed.
Yeah.
At
that point, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do it. Who's going to judge me now? Right?
It's too late, yeah.
You can judge me now if you wanted to.
So what we want to know, besides like going into an industry that's completely brand new, right? Me and you got into the car dealership. I think you were about 5 years into it. I was about 2 or 3 years into it before, we decided we want to open up Muse.
Right.
And we found this crazy location, and we thought, oh my God, this is going to be crazy expensive. I don't know how we're going to run it. And I remember your daughter was born that night, when you finally found out about signing up to do Muse. And I remember we were kind of hesitant because we thought we might not be able to cover the overhead expenses and whatnot.
It was just too big. It was
really bigger than what something we had ever done
Right.
at that point.
Right.
But I think having Dad on board really kind of helps make those decisions.
Absolutely.
And I think that night we were like, you know what, screw it, we're gonna try it out and we'll see what happens.
I mean, it was mostly you. You backed me up.
Yeah.
You gave me that final push. Like, hey, if you want to do something big, then sign up for something big. You know, no risk, no
reward.
no reward.
So
you were all
scared
about
money
that.
don't make no money.
Scared money don't make money. That was all you, right?
Yeah.
So. I make a little bit more cautious decisions when it comes to business.
Yeah.
I make stupid decisions outside of business as to how to spend my money, but in business I make very cautious decisions, right? I'm all about if I'm going to do this,
has to be completely calculated.
Right, it has to be very calculated, and you're more of a aggressive business approach.
I think as I grow older, that's changing for me too.
Right.
Now I look for that younger brother that pushes
you,
because even now sometimes I'll try to make a change or try to do something new. And then I'll just be like, man, I don't know. Like, this is already working. Why get into something new?
I might need you to bring that back because, like the whole let me be safe, you be aggressive kind of work balances out. We're two very different personalities,
100%.
right? Which always has been actually our pro. Like, it actually helped us out.
100%.
Things that you couldn't make a decision on, I would make those, and where you would, I wouldn't. You know, kind of a thing. So it was a give and take. But coming back to Muse, the whole story behind Muse was, I wanted to open up something 10 years ago when they're actually in Houston. There were no hookah lounges as such where it wasn't a Mediterranean restaurant with hookah. You know what I mean? It was just like everything was just copy and paste. Every other, mostly it was all older men that was opening these restaurants that would serve hookahs in there as well. And playing cards and just the older crowd sitting there, and then it was just like I think I remember at that time I took a trip to London at the time where I saw lounges over there, and the hookah lounges over there, the hookah scene was just completely different. It was just so modern. It was all hip. It was just like to the time, it was attractive to the younger clientele like myself. And that's something that was missing in Houston at that time.
Right.
Obviously
this has been about,
this is over 10 years. This is over a decade ago, right?
Okay.
So, at that time, if I was able to do it, and if I had because I didn't have our parents' blessing, I didn't go with it. But, I always look for that. But, at that time, if we were able to do it, I mean, this would have been next level already, you know. But, hey, everything happens for the best. So, come 7 years later, I guess,
this is around, we opened Muse around, what year was that?
This was
2018?
Yeah, around that time, I think.
It was a year before COVID. So COVID was 2020. We opened 2019.
Year before COVID, we signed.
September, I think we signed our lease February of 2019.
Yeah.
When your daughter was born.
Yeah, and we opened in September.
We opened in September, so it took us about 5 to 6 months to get everything ready to go, ground up. Now that journey, I think, is one to talk about because I remember we were there. I think that was the time. Those 6 months we didn't sleep. I didn't sleep at least. We
really didn't sleep.
We were literally living inside of Muse, and it was just like bare walls everywhere. And we were just trying to find ways to cut corners and pretty much cut costs because
cut corners. We wanted to cut costs because we were already signing up for such a big lease.
Yeah.
That we had to cover. It was a whole new investment.
Yeah.
Of money that we were putting in.
Yeah.
And this was investment coming out of all the money that we made out of the dealership. So it was being redirected somewhere else into a completely unknown business.
Yeah.
Different world of business. We had no idea how to operate a restaurant at the time.
Yeah.
No one in our family has ever ran a restaurant.
No.
So, the whole idea was just very bizarre at the time.
So let me ask you this. You knew an industry. You were good at it, obviously. I came on board as well, and we were doing a good job. What was your main reason to leave the industry and join a brand new industry that you knew nothing about at the age of, I think you were around 28, 29 at that time?
The thing was, it's all about diversifying the portfolio, right? Car business is a very seasonal business.
100%.
Okay. It goes up and down. There are months that you hit high, and then there's dead months in the middle of the year, at the end of the year, stuff like that. So The thing is, like, you need to have a secondary source of income where if your 1 month is slow in one business, it's picking up the other one. So it actually, the best thing that was happening in that scenario was the restaurant is a complete opposite seasonal business than the car business, right?
100%.
So that's where it was just, that's the only thing that meshes these two things together, where it's like, okay, that's fine. If we're having a slow February here, that February picks up. You know what I mean?
Sure.
If, for example, Christmas slows down here, Christmas is one of the busiest times for restaurants.
For sure.
You know? So that give and take was a very good idea to me.
Yeah.
And that's why we went for that. Apart from, again, Muse is a passion project. It will always stay a passion project, right? I tell this to a lot of people. Restaurant industry, I know a lot of people just go, nowadays everybody just wants to open up a hookah lounge. It's either a smoke shop or a hookah lounge. We always hear that, right?
Yeah.
And you don't understand how much work goes into a hookah lounge. It's not just 4 guys and you just serving hookahs. For me,
well, technically, I mean, there are places where there's just 4 guys serving hookah. You're obviously speaking in a
I'm talking about a professional manner.
Like
if you want to stay
running.
like, you know, if you want to be the top lounges in your
100%.
area, that's what I mean. Like I compete for that all the time, right? There are bigger lounges out there than me, and I know that, and I understand that. There's no
direct competition.
There's direct competition there. But my goal is that I might be smaller, but I gotta be better.
Correct.
At all times, right?
Yeah.
I have to work harder than the person next to me to make sure that I provide the best service and the best product at all times.
So you're telling me we opened up, just to recap what you're talking about, we opened up got into the restaurant industry to diversify our portfolio, which obviously worked out very well for both of us. My follow-up question is, at that time, there were a lot of hookah lounges as well, and you did mention that majority of them were like Mediterranean restaurants that were serving, or it was geared toward a different audience.
There was a second phase of hookah lounges that happened, right, at that time, where it was like by the time we came around to it, again, there was that first old gen Mediterranean restaurant hookah lounges, and then there was that really dark lounges with
clubby
BYOB, clubby vibes, and like you couldn't take your family to type thing.
Correct.
Right? And those were the only 2 options at the time.
So what did you pioneer in the hookah industry?
So what we pioneered at that time was like, our idea was, and I don't want to drop names, but coffee houses basically, where people can go study with a modern industrial minimalistic vibe that nobody approached.
Correct.
Hookah lounges at that time, like I said, they were all in traditional phases that they were just stuck there, right? So we brought that fresh idea that, you know what, we're going to give people an aesthetic place to sit at, right? A modern look of a restaurant, right? Serving hookahs that no one else serves.
Correct.
Period. Everybody was on Khalil Mamoons and Starbuzz. For people that know hookah, they'll know what that is. You know, and nobody else was touching anything else. You know, me and you went to conventions, and you remember how many brands we saw over there?
Yeah, we went to a hookah convention in Vegas. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've smoked hookah a lot, just as much as he has, maybe a little bit shorter than him, but when I went to that convention with you, I think I was mind blown.
Right.
I think at that moment I realized that hookah's this is a next big thing. Like, I mean, there were conventions at that time for like gas stations and smoke shops. This was a like straight up hookah convention with hookahs from all over the world.
All over the world. And there's so many new things out there. And, you know, that was the thing. Like, there was no single hookah enthusiast hookah lounge in Houston. Period.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. I remember.
They exist in Florida. They exist in Cali. They exist in London. They exist in Dubai. They exist in all the major cities in the world.
Yeah.
Except Houston.
Correct.
Houston is stuck to its old school ways.
Correct.
Right? So that was the thing. Like, let's introduce something new. Let's give people, other than just Alt Fokker and Starbuzz flavors. That's all we were available here at that time. So Muse brought all those new things out and let people try something new that other people were experiencing outside of Houston, and give the opportunity to the customer to decide, hey, this is what I want to smoke. This is what I like. You know what I mean? And again, even with the food, we took the same approach. We are in an industry where it's halal industry, right? Halal foods. At that time, trust me, Houston had a lot of food options as halal options, but never with a hookah. Never in a hookah lounge, right?
Well, they had them, but it was all geared towards the kebabs and
that's what I'm saying.
Mediterranean food.
Again, right? So we were always stuck with kebab rice, shawarmas, beef shawarma, chicken shawarma.
Yeah.
The most that someone did was like a burger.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you a funny question. how many times, I mean, obviously you started something new when it came to hookah lounges, and you brought, new menu items, a new look, you pioneered a whole brand new program on how you want to serve hookahs in Houston. How many times did you get asked if you serve kebabs?
But see, that's the thing. We expected that, right? Whenever you go out to pioneer something new, you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that friction, right?
Yeah.
Where people aren't used to this, right? Half of them are gonna be very happy that have the same mindset as you. They're very happy that finally
Something
someone
new
did
came.
that I wanted,
Yeah.
right? They have coffee. They have boba. This is something that no one would ever think these two things fuse together.
Correct.
Right? And now when you provide that, the other half that is so used to that old school way will fight back for it. They will come in there and be like, oh, you don't serve kebabs?
Right.
And if I was one of those, the old heads, how they operate business, and 3 people said bring kebabs, the 4th person, you're like, oh man, I got to book kebabs.
I'm going to go run right now and
I'm gonna
grab
go
some
make
kebabs.
this kebab recipe today, because that's what my customer's asking for. Trust me, I value my customer opinion a lot, but the only thing I don't jeopardize or I don't put up for sale is the identity of the
100%.
business.
I think your biggest success so far is the original ideas you bring in, and the fact that you're not willing to change out of what your brand holds, right?
Exactly.
So you've developed a brand. You have made Muse a name for itself. I've personally seen when I've been at Muse, where people that are coming from out of states,
100%,
just visiting for work or visiting just to visit their friends and family, I've seen those people come to Muse because they've heard that Muse is one of the top lounges in Houston.
Absolutely. And I can't be more prideful of that than anything.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you guys do a great job giving special treatments to guests that are not even locals, right? And in general with your guests that come in there anyway. I think the customer service is I think that's your secret recipe.
Man, customer service has always been a secret recipe.
Right. We can talk about this, lychee ginger beers all day long, which by the way, it's non-alcoholic. They do everything. There's no alcohol being served in the lounge.
We're one of the first lounges or restaurants in Houston to start mocktails, and now you can find mocktails everywhere.
Yeah.
Even Desi restaurants have mocktails.
Right. I mean, I remember, I kind of coined that term for Muse, where it was the house of the original mocktails.
Absolutely.
Meaning, and I think you missed on one point that we had. This was one of our ideas that we followed while we were building it. We said we want to build a place for you to come have fun without feeling guilty that you're doing something wrong.
100%. That was a huge idea behind it. And I want to come back. One more thing I want to say before we go to that topic. Is that customer service, right?
Yeah.
Huge shout out to Muse staff for that.
Big time.
Right?
Big time.
And I can't take all the credit for it.
100%.
I can manage and I can push my ideas and I can show my values to my staff. But for them to follow through with that
100%.
and to understand that that's what our owner and our brand represents is a huge thing for that staff to
that
be
was
able
big.
to manage.
I mean, 100%. I think the staff there they're always friendly.
They're very friendly. People literally know them by name at this point, right? That's the amazing part.
And I think vice versa. Like, the staff that's there, they'll greet me by my name. Obviously, they know me because I've been around, but I've seen them, greet other customers by first name basis.
Absolutely.
And matter of fact, a lot of them don't even order with them. They just say, you know what I want.
Yeah, literally, they come in and they go, "Oh, Mike, done."
Yeah. So I think customer service is one of the biggest things. I think that goes across any industry, any
retail business, back of the house. Even if look at the end of the day, a business always has a customer.
Correct.
Whether it's a corporate customer or whether it's a normal consumer at a retail perspective,
they all want the same service.
Customer service is huge in any business, and you should be able to provide that. And if it's not you, whoever's representing you must provide it.
100%.
Right.
And I think that's one of the biggest obstacles for most businesses today. And I'm not going to say we're perfect. We may have some mishaps and whatnot, but as long as you make it right for the customer, even if they weren't, if they weren't treated well or if they didn't feel like they had the best, experience, there's always ways to make it up. And I think we do that pretty well here. And I'm sure you guys do that very well there as well. I wanted to transition into what I was speaking to you about. Tell me more about it.
What were you talking about?
I don't remember. That's why I said tell me more about it. I don't remember, but anyway, we'll move on and
talking about mocktails, no?
Mocktails.
Yeah.
There we go. A house of the original mocktails. That's what we're known for, and what I told you was the concept was we want to be able to bring a fun environment, whatever you consider fun, right? We've all been out, we've all seen Washington, we've seen downtown, and we've seen all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at some point, you don't want to be in those areas because it was looked down upon. At least in our community, it was looked down upon. Like, oh, you shouldn't be going out to party. You should do something that's more quote unquote halal, right? You want to do the halal things. And so I remember when we came out the mocktails, the halal foods, the way our food was presented, the way our drinks were presented. I remember the whole concept was we want to make halal fun.
Correct. And that was the thing, right?
Because halal is always known as, okay, boring.
Boring. Absolutely boring all the time. And the problem is that, again, all the halal options are ran by old heads.
Yeah.
At least then, and I'm going to be very honest. There was no such thing as social media marketing before Muse.
Correct.
No hookah lounge had a social media team.
Never.
I call out everybody.
Never.
You can agree with me or you can deny me. You go find another post of any social media post.
That's timestamp before
of
Muse.
a timestamp before Muse had opened. You can come to me. I'll give you free hookah. I'll make it myself.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. But the thing is that concept didn't exist.
Correct.
Right. And look, the thing is, like, I know we were going to try to avoid this topic, but the whole immigrant thing does come into it is because we weren't introduced to fancy food. Our parents didn't go to fancy places for fancy food because either they didn't have the money or they had the fear of the unknown of going into that place, not knowing what they're going to order and how they're going to be treated there.
Right.
So, us being second gen, we started going to the fancy places. We saw how our food was presented to us.
Yeah.
All our friends and that were around us in that society are taking pictures of those things, right?
Correct.
And you're like posting it. You want to post your pretty drink. You want to post. Shoot, me and you can't even get a pretty drink because it has alcohol in it. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. And that goes for most people. So that was the whole concept. Like, you know what? We want finally a halal option that is pretty.
Correct.
Apart from just
exciting.
It tasting good, exciting, new flavors. There was no one ever to have dragon fruit in their menu.
100%.
100%. So we brought dragon fruit in our menu, so like that, those are the things, like we wanted things to look nice and pretty that, hey, you could be proud of, like, yo, this is halal and I enjoy it.
I can post it.
I can post it. I'm not ashamed of it.
Right.
Why should I be ashamed? Because this is just as good looking as any other meal.
100%.
And that was the concept behind it. Being Instagrammable, being more social media present, like let people see what you can actually do with halal options as well. And like I said, no one else was doing it at the time, and it was a great opportunity for us to do it. And I'm very glad that I don't take credit for this. I'm being very honest. I don't take credit for it, but I'm very glad that Muse was a stepping stone for a lot of people to go in the right direction.
Correct.
To where now, like, if you see the new lounges that have opened up, man, I am impressed. I am so happy that has happened.
They've done a good job.
Right? There's multiple of them that we can think of, but I'm very impressed by how the modern new takes of hookah lounges have become now. The food is phenomenal. People are serving pastas and,
pizzas and burgers and
all types of stuff now, so, and that's great. And today I was on the way here and I watched a reel. Some guy just shot a whole cinematic reel of their lounge, like literally a movie type promotion, right?
Interesting.
So that's cool. This is cool because now our industry is being known as a modern industry now.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not just a place where old people come play cards and smoke hookah all day and have their shish kebab.
I'm glad. So, that I think that is the most exciting part about hookah in Houston now. We are seeing a brand new, and I don't know if you give yourself the credit. I do give you the credit because, quite honestly, guys, there was no hookah lounges or cafes that were cool. They were all, don't get me wrong. We were regular customers of other hookah lounges as well. We were there every single weekend.
Absolutely.
But for you to bring in something brand new, a fresh idea, and what we've seen since we opened in 2019 and now we're heading into 2023, in the short 4 years, you've gained a lot of competition and you've gained a lot of different lounges that are starting to do similar things to you.
Yeah.
They may not be replicating you directly, but they are using you as an idea or using their own ideas to come up with that new modern hookah lounge that you're speaking of.
Yeah.
So I do give you that credit, at least for the Houston market. I think you've done a tremendous job, transforming that whole industry to what's becoming a big thing now.
Big thing.
Hookah is everywhere now. Like I'm talking anywhere
every
I can
corner.
You know, there was a time where I remember we used to take our hookahs in a car all the time. We used to smoke in the car. We're going to the beach. We're taking our hookahs. We're going to anywhere we have our hookah with us. And now you don't need to do that anymore because you can go get hookah anywhere you go. Like, I mean, it's available everywhere.
Everywhere.
So,
I mean, we don't carry ours in most places anymore.
And I think one more thing that you did pioneer is you've introduced hookah to a whole brand new audience that was not even looking or interested in hookah because they saw it as a medieval way of smoking, right? True. They were like, why are we gonna go smoke?
It wasn't part of hip culture then.
Yeah, it looked like a lamp that people were smoking out of, and this was like, oh, this is a super Arab tradition. We don't want to do this, but now with the new hookahs that have been coming out and the different designs and flavors and colors and all this great stuff, I think you have found a brand new audience that's willing to accept this concept.
Absolutely. Credit, and that credit, I give that credit more to the hookah manufacturing companies, the new companies that are coming now. That's what they're doing, right? They're attracting newer clienteles because they're bringing on cool new pieces.
Correct.
They're not just hookahs anymore. They're actually like art pieces now.
Right.
You know, the other day I brought a Khaloud chrysalis at home. Remember, like
that thing was nuts.
That thing is nuts. The way it's packed, like it's packaged better than
a Louis Vuitton
bag. Yeah,
100%.
it's better than an Apple product is packaged.
It was next. I kind of wish you brought a hookah for us to smoke while we're on this podcast, but that didn't happen. I do have my vape. I don't tell anyone to smoke this. It's like the worst thing in the world. It's an addiction, but I'm going to smoke on the podcast just to keep it going.
Yeah, but you know, that's the thing. Like the new products that are coming out now, and that was the thing, right? Utilizing those guys, bringing their product into our places, and letting that clientele come and see it.
For sure.
And it's intimidating when we're a very multicultural place.
Yeah.
So no one will ever feel intimidated by entering that place. For example, right? If it's a Pakistani restaurant, as a non-Pakistani, you think twice before going in.
That is very true.
You have that uncertainty of not knowing, right?
Correct.
It's the unknown.
Or looking at it as like
what am I going to order? I'm the outcast in that place, right?
Correct.
That's the big problem. I'm the outcast in that place. But, you know, that's why we build our place so in a way where it was like, it's known by everyone. You can see it and you're like, okay, I've been to a place like this before.
I think diversity is huge in Muse. I've never seen such a diverse crowd in one place. And actually, everyone's hanging out together, having a good time. I think it's a beautiful sight to see.
Man, I've known people that became friends there.
Correct.
Right.
Oh, yeah, like really good friends.
Really good friends. And I know
I know someone that actually got married that met at Muse.
There you go.
So I know there was a lot of new relationships that were created there, and I think that's such a cool thing to see and experience.
I've seen people that used to like usually sit at different tables around each other. Now they come together and sit at the same table.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? And they work together.
That's awesome. What do you do to maintain, I'm sure people want to know about our businesses, but a lot of people kind of want to know about who you are as a person, what you do on your day-to-day, how do you maintain a work-life balance? Obviously, I'm sure people that know you or at least follow you on Instagram know that you're a big gym rat.
Yeah.
You love being at the gym and, taking care of your body and whatnot. I was actually him before. I actually had a better body, but I got married, so I kind of let go.
I just showed him a picture before before the podcast.
That's why I'm jealous. But it's okay. I'm new. It's a fresh marriage, so I'm trying to get that happy weight going before I get back into the gym. But tell us more about what you do what is your work-life balance like? Obviously Muse takes up a lot of your time. Tell me a little bit about your personal life. Like, what do you enjoy doing, or what do you do? And I know the answers because I live with you, but I'm sure people that are watching, that's the whole purpose of this. They want to know.
Thing is, you know this very well. I don't have much of a personal life, to be very honest. I do drown myself in my work. Again, that's just because I'm obsessive with the things that I do. Passionate or obsessive, you can call it either or. It's the same thing to me because
obsessive.
It's all about like getting my stuff the right way. I don't ever want to, and that's the suckiest part about this business is I want 100% satisfaction, and I know it's unattainable.
Correct.
But yet, that's the goal that I've set, and that's the goal I want to achieve.
Because it keeps you going.
It keeps you going.
Tillman Fertitta talks about the 5%.
Right.
95% is easy. That 5%
is what you strive for, right?
That's what you want to work towards, and to have that mindset is the only way you even get close to the 100.
Right, and that's the 5% we strive for. I mean, it might be just an illusion that we're trying to run after, but it is what it is. That's the one we want to go get.
Okay.
But I do make time for myself. I do make time for my gym. I wake up early in the morning to go do my cardio. Like you said, people on my social media see it. That's the only things I usually post. So I wake up to drop the kiddo off to school. So I go do that at 7 a.m. Then go to the gym, go do my cardio.
Grab a coffee on the way.
I
know this. You gotta watch the stories.
You gotta watch the stories. I've had a recent transformation for a reason. So I go do that. I grab my coffee. I listen to a podcast or something. Something interesting.
Listen to this one next time on your way.
Hey, this is the one. You just thought that's a radio
Bookmark
station.
it. Bookmark this one.
But I listen to things that I'm interested in at that time. Maybe if I'm not in the mood to some days you are just so brain fried in the morning where you're just like, I don't want to learn. I just want to waste this time right now. I just want my time. You listen to some music or something and then, go to the gym. I spend about 30, 40 minutes there. After that, if I actually have time, I'll take another nap and you'll soon find out by the end of the night why. I'll take a nap if I can. If not, then I'll start getting ready. I'll swing by the dealership sometimes, or I'll go to Muse at 1. That's when we open. And after that, around 6:30, I leave again, and that's my actual workout time. So I give 2 hours to myself in the middle of the day. Reason being, in the middle of the day, a lot of people do it like in the morning or after work. I don't do that because in the middle of the day is where I need to take a break, right?
That's smart.
I have productivity. Take a break. Give yourself some time. Go enjoy yourself now for the time being. And I genuinely feel gym is my spa time. Right? I treat it like my spa time, right? I focus on myself. I go socialize with people that I know I see every day over there, and after a couple of hours, when I've done all that, I've given myself a break. I go back to Muse. Muse closes at 2 and 3 a.m. It's very late and unconventional hours. So, I go, and if I can leave early, if I have enough staff to do so, I'll leave early, like 12 o'clock is my early. If not, I will close 2, 3 a.m. and, come home, unwind for an hour, eat dinner, get some protein in as I can, and, then I go to sleep.
He's lying. He forgot to tell you he plays video games too.
Oh, yeah. See, I don't get, since I've been waking up at 7 a.m., I don't get to do that anymore.
So I kind of want to transition out a little bit and talk a little bit about, we want to add some value to our viewers and our audience on, if they were to start their own business, what would be your number one advice? What would be your best advice that you would give them?
Man, with business, like in general, all businesses, like any idea that you have, there's an investment before the investment. That's Correct. How I see it. Okay. The investment being not just your money, right? There's an investment before stepping into a business is that you have to do, like, for example, there's research of that general business, right? Okay. That's an investment of its own. Time.
Yeah.
It's an investment of its own. You have to know, are you dedicated to that much time? Do you have that much time to give to that business? For example, Muse, we knew that this is a late hour business.
Yeah.
If I wasn't a late hour person, that was the worst idea I could have had.
100%.
Right? So that was my investment before I even put money in front of it, right? Researching the products, where does it come from? What do I have to do to serve it? The licensing, the permitting and all that. We knew that before we got into
Correct.
it to a certain extent,
to a certain degree.
To a certain degree. Obviously, the challenges came afterwards, but to a certain degree, we knew what we were getting ourselves into. So always know that you are going to invest yourself first. That initial investment's in there before you put your money as an investment in there, right?
Yeah.
So I would always, that's my best advice. Like, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. And if you are up for it, like I said, everybody wants to open up a hookah lounge right now, but they don't understand what goes behind the scenes.
So what goes behind it? Tell us.
So, for example,
don't keep all the secrets to yourself.
No, I'm not. And that's why I'm here to talk about it. I'm a very open book. I love helping people. I don't mind, sharing what I have gone through and what I do on a daily basis. So somebody else can either be for it or against it before putting your money up front, right?
If I wanted to open up a brand new hookah lounge today, what would you tell me on, following up on the question on what goes on behind the scenes, what all should I be expecting to do?
Understand this. For example, Muse has over 60 SKU items on the menu right now. Okay? A customer, when he sits down, he's going to order 3 SKU items on that, average. Okay. For me to have those 3 items available, I don't know which 3 items there will be.
Correct.
I got to be ready with the 60 items on my menu for me to provide the 3 items when you ask for it on demand.
Correct.
Okay. To get those 3 items, I have to have 60 ready, right?
Correct.
So this happens before and after Muse opens and closes. So don't just understand that, oh, yeah, there's a 13-hour day that I'm going to work for. No. You're going to work 13 hours in the restaurant in front of the people that you're serving. And there's going to be before and after where you're going to be prepping and getting all these things ready. So be up for that.
Plus your marketing, that's probably happening after hours.
Your marketing, your ideas, you're generating. As a business owner, man, you're working 24 hours a day. If there's a call in the middle of the night that there's a break-in, God forbid, you're going to wake up and go figure that out.
100%.
Right? So, and if there's a employee that's sick that day, you're going to get up and go to work.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever mopped the floors at Muse?
I've mopped the floors. I've cleaned the bathrooms. I mean, I've done all the nasty stuff. I've cut meat. I've cleaned meat. I've done things that I never thought I would ever do.
And I think
I've painted walls.
I think that's the most important aspect of any entrepreneur. If you're the way I see things, right, is if you're looking to hire someone to do a job for you, you can't hire them until you've done that job yourself.
100%.
Because you will never, ever, ever be able to understand what position that staff member's in unless you've been there and you've seen what challenges they may face.
Exactly. There's no respect factor between you and your employee, right? Because the employee thinks that, oh, you would never do it.
Correct.
So why do you expect me to do it?
Correct.
Right? There's been moments where me and an employee have gotten heated to a point where he's not doing something I'm asking him to do. I don't argue more than twice. I just take it and I do it myself.
Yeah.
Next time he knows not to argue back because you know what? It'll get done one way or the other.
I worked at Muse for some time too in operations. I was on a completely different mindset. My thing was, first of all, everyone that's employed there, you're being employed there, we're paying you for your time.
Absolutely.
Right? So in that time, you have a job description on what you would be doing. For me, it was like, if you're going to violate that contract that I have with you as an employee, I no longer need you.
100%. That's how it should be.
I think that's when I was there, I think I was firing people left and right.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have any patience in terms of, I would train you fully. I would make sure you understand everything that you need to know about the position. And when the time came, and when I say when the time comes, that time is your busy hours, your main operational hours.
Correct.
The small hours of window you get in that day to make your sales for the day.
Right.
If you're not there for me at that moment, then I don't need you for any of the other time either.
Absolutely. I mean, we're investing in you in the slow times that you're hanging around and doing like little things here and there, chores here and there. You know, you're half-assing half the stuff over there at that time. We're investing in those times. We're literally paying you for those hours because you're going to make up for it in the 2-3 hours of the grind that goes into it, right? When it's like super, super busy. Because look, that's when you're making that's where they're making their money. That's when we're making our money, and that's how we pay for the payroll and stuff like that.
Those few hours is what pays for the party.
Absolutely. So if you're not up for that, then you're not needed.
Okay. What's your opinion on entrepreneurs that are maybe either younger than you or older than you? Because there may be some people that are in a corporate job till 40 years old. And now they're sick and tired of it. So I got lucky and I backed out after 2.5 years. But there are still people in corporate that may be much older or much younger, right? They could be in their early 20s, or they could be in their late 40s. Do you think that it really matters about age when you're starting up a business?
So there's 2 schools of thoughts here, okay? There's one where it's all about responsibility, right? At a younger age, you don't have the responsibilities that you do at a later age, right? At 40, you might have a family that you have to support. You have like necessities that you need to make sure and complete at that time. So yeah, at a younger age, I think you're more willing to risk it than at 40. And if you're really have been there in corporate for that long, then you're probably at a position that it's harder to leave than a starting position that you just entered into the market, right?
Right.
So at a 40, someone that's that old and that invested into corporate, I would suggest that you start your business. I always tell everybody, start something. Have something of your own, right? Because look, if that company goes down, you're done, right? I've known my own friends' father used to work in an oil company that went out of business completely, which is unheard of, oil business, and lost his job after He was in that company for over 40 years. What did he do? He came back home. There was nothing to do with. Yeah, there was a little package for him, but after that package was over, that was it.
Yeah.
You know, so always have a backup plan. You know, either have investments. If you're not going to do a business, have investments. You know, but no, if you're 40 and you're planning on, you have a good idea, please start it. Don't quit your job yet. Let that flourish. And if you think it needs you now full time, then you can quit your job, right?
Which, if it needs you full time, that means you've done something right.
Then you've done something right, you know? Because look, if you can hire someone because it's a $10 an hour job, then you don't need to leave your high paid job for that.
Correct.
Right? You're undervaluing yourself now.
100%.
So I would say in that scenario, it'll be that way. But if you're young and you've just started something and you're not enjoying your, 9 to 7 or whatever you're doing, then please come out of it. Give it a shot. What do you have to lose? You're going to waste 2 years of your life, 3 years of your life, invested into it? Fine. At least you tried it. You'll have no regret going forward now. And if you don't want to do it and if it didn't work, it failed, go back. Go back to your corporate job. Corporate's not going anywhere.
For sure. I think that's one of the concepts most people that are currently working jobs, not even corporate jobs, just jobs in general, is that there's always going to be opportunities.
There's always going to be an opportunity.
Because there's always entrepreneurs opening up new businesses. Absolutely. And there's always new jobs coming out. So
and nowadays with tech, man, it's just like left and right new things are coming up.
I'm glad you brought that up because my follow-up question to you is, how do you think the business environment will change in the future? And to follow up that question from the previous follow-up question would be, how do you continue to be creative and innovative when you've already accomplished everything that you set out to do? Like, I mean, you mentioned that you came out with these new concepts and whatnot, and you've already done all of that. What now?
See, the thing isn't just to create a new concept and you're done. Because if that was the case, I would have been just a creative I would have been in a creative space where I've created a painting and it's a masterpiece and I'm done. Sell it. Right. So with Muse, it's like, yes, I came up with these creative ideas, but these creative ideas will always be evolving. Right? There's no end to this. The day it dies is the day my creativity died. So I'm uninterested in this business. That's the day I'll sell that business.
Right.
Okay. Even till today, like just till last week, new food items came out in Muse, right? We do a rotating menu every now and then. We bring out like new items, let people try them, see if they like them. We add them to the menu if needed. Like we have these brisket sliders that just came out last week. They're amazing. They're fire. People love them, And I'm no chef, but I just come up with things that I like, and then I let my customers try it. And my biggest thing is, man, let your customer try it.
Right.
Learn to take criticism in your business. You might think you know it all, but those are the people paying for it.
100%.
Correct? So let them be the judge.
100%.
Let them decide.
100%.
Everything that I've ever served at Muse, my customers have decided if it's going on the menu or not. Okay? I know so many people are so prideful of their items. Like I know so many Pakistani restaurants and Desi restaurants, and even there's bigger chefs too.
Grilled chops everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like the thing is, like, yo, we're going. This doesn't even fit on the menu.
Right.
You're serving nihari and then you're serving pasta on the menu. Like what? Don't make sense. But they're just throwing everything out there. It's not good. Don't serve it. But they're so prideful of their items, they will never take it off. They don't want to hear it. This restaurant, what's that place called? The dude's so prideful of his place. I mean, it does really well. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, on Hillcroft.
On Hillcroft. But
Hillcroft in 59, small restaurant. Not going to say any names.
He's really recognized. He's very recognized. I really can't think of his name. Man, I'll say it. Himalaya. There you go. Everybody knows that guy.
Yeah.
And we all know that place because there are certain food items that are really good. But if you ever tell him that today it wasn't good, he's not going to listen to you. If anything, he'll get rude with you.
Right.
So that kind of perception, I don't agree with. You have to let your customer tell you. Take criticism. If they tell you something needs to be improved, obviously, the first person, everybody will tell you something, right? And I'm not saying listen to every one of them, but if you're seeing a pattern that you keep getting the same complaint, it's time to fix something.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, following up on that is you can't get 100% positive feedback on one item. So,
correct.
Everyone's taste buds are different, their palates are different. So, how do you determine if I come in and I don't like it, but 9 other people do? Does that stay or
that's staying, man?
That's staying.
It's majority,
okay.
Right? It's majority.
Okay.
Like you said, not everybody's profile. Some cultures eat spicier food than other cultures, right?
Yeah.
And we understand that. And like I said, I'm a multicultural space, so I have to take the middle road all the time. I personally like much more spicier than the food that I actually serve out there.
Right.
Right. But I have to look out for everyone. And there are options in between. Like, we can make it spicier for you. We can make it less spicier for you. Right. But it's just, do you like the item is the big thing in the beginning.
Perfect.
Right. Do you like the presentation? Did you like the taste of it? Is there anything changes? Every time a new item came out, I promise you, it's been fixed 3 times before it was out. Because the criticism that we received, we take it. Yeah, we improved it.
So I actually want to talk about the Pakistani people or just South Asians. You know, for example, one of the best known Pakistani restaurant that's in Houston and known nationwide is Aga's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, and I think their biggest breakthrough was probably their grilled chops.
Yes,
I'm sure they have other items that are great too, which we all have, but grilled chops was their top item and
top number 1 hit.
And I think that kind of transformed their business and gave them the attention that they deserved. But very shortly after that, you noticed that almost every Pakistani restaurant that was serving similar menu items, everyone got hopped onto the grilled chops item, right?
Yeah.
Now we see that in the restaurant industry a lot. Have you seen something similar to that at Muse, where you started something that gave you the recognition that you needed and deserved, and you saw others imitate it as well? And if so, how do you combat that issue?
Thing is, man, like you said right now, that you see that in the industry a lot. That's not true.
Okay.
You only see it in the brown industry.
Okay.
You only see it in that. How many Italian places do you know that go, oh, his tastes like that, let me change my recipe? I maybe I'm not in that industry, so I don't know. But from my perception, I've never seen a well-known restaurant change something in their menu because someone else is selling more. But in our culture, we see it all the time. Immediately, it's changed. I'll add a new menu item because of that. I'll add a whole new ingredient because of that.
Yeah.
Right. And that's something, man. It's just it's not the good thing to do. And then on top of that, we start price battling on top of that.
Correct.
Right. It's not that, oh, I'm gonna start adding the grilled chops on my menu. I'm gonna sell it $1 cheaper than you too.
Right.
And that's what literally kills our businesses.
And I think the same thing happened with Nashville hot chicken.
Hot chicken. Every corner started getting one.
It's a phenomenon in Houston. I think there's more Nashville chicken in Houston than there is in Nashville, quite honestly.
Yeah, TBH.
I mean, they're everywhere. And
bro, we have so many. The gyro over rice, I think New York Street doesn't have that many.
Yeah, 100%.
Gyro over rice, bro, like every other person started opening one after one got successful.
I think that's where I kind of give some credit where, for example, I actually had Halal Guys when they were just a food truck in New York. I actually had it in the streets of New York when gyro over rice was not, lamb over rice was not a thing.
Yeah.
Right. It was, for me, I don't even know. I think I just went there because it was the only halal spot I found. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go grab a plate from there. And I will kid you not, it was the best lamb over rice I've ever had. Still. Now, if you go there today, it's not the same anymore because they have also franchised out and the quality is not there anymore. But they did create a phenomenon.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And they did create...
And because of that, we got some of the best gyro over rice now.
Correct.
Like, by different brands.
100%. Right. And now, do I go back to, Halal Guys and be like, oh, look, haha, everyone copied you and you're no longer relevant? Or do you go and give them a pat on their back that, hey, you started a brand new item that has taken over as a phenomenon worldwide, not just even in America. Yeah. Lamb of rice is everywhere with the white sauce and the red sauce. It's everywhere.
Facts. And the thing is, look, that's why competition is healthy.
Correct.
Right? That's exactly why. Because you produce new items or new brands out of it that come up with even better products than you. But I just feel, give the credit where it's due.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. As long as you give them credit like you just did, hey, you guys started it and this is amazing. That's all that I think. That's all they want from you right now. Other than business, I mean, who doesn't want to make money? They've done their part.
They've already
done their part. Yeah. They've grown from a food truck to a multi-state
franchise
100%. Now. So they've done their part. But at least they get the recognition. Hey, you are the OG. You did the
pioneers,
right? I feel like sometimes that gets faded away in my industry. Okay, like in my hookah industry, a lot of times we don't get the credit that we deserve in this place, right? Like what we mentioned earlier with the social media thing, that got diluted with it, right? Or mocktails got diluted, right? So it's like, fine, we're not sitting here for someone else to give us a pat on the back. we get that from our customers anyways. You know, they tell us how impressive we are or how good our products are and stuff like that. Compliments go a long way
100%.
in that business because, man, it takes, like I said, it takes a lot of work to produce that one drink for you on the table. It's not just one guy just mixing it up or one flavor, just, you know, put it together and just serve it. It takes a lot of work to have all that stuff ready to do that.
100%. I think the prep is pretty important part. I want to kind of wind down and just run through a few more things. I really want to, the whole purpose of this podcast that we've started and we plan on continuing with is we want to provide value to all our audience, right? If they're tuning in, whoever's tuning in right now, I want to be able to answer those questions that they can't find answers to anywhere, but from someone that's actually experienced as a business owner. And I'll do my part in giving my advices near the end as well, and what I think I did right and what I think I did wrong. I want you to be able to dig deep inside of you and find some secrets. I guess you can say secrets. They're not really secrets, but that advice that someone needs to know that they can't find anywhere else, right? Whether that may be, like, for example, right? When I look at the dealership at Private Club Motors, right? The biggest difficulty I face is you can only buy so many cars for your inventory, right? After that, you're like, okay, I'm kind of topped out. How much more inventory am I going to buy? You're going to have a customer comes in that wants a particular make and model that you may not have in stock, right? Now, I'm sure a lot of people that are looking to get in the car industry are having those same thoughts, like, how much money do I need to get as much inventory as possible? Well, the simple answer is you're not going to have all the inventory that you want. Right. It's just it's something you have to accept, right? You're not going to, if you're opening up an independent car dealership, you're not going to be the CarMax, where you have thousands of cars waiting in the lot waiting for you, right?
The thing is, you can, and that's the perfect point. That's the advice I want to give.
But the way I think you combat that, right? You can't find an answer. I actually look for that answer myself. Right. Like, hey, I have inventory, but if someone wants a specific car that I don't have, what do I do? There's no answer for that online. I will give my audience the answer. The answer is, if you're a car dealer, you have access to hundreds of thousands of cars of inventory online. Whatever you're purchasing, whether you're purchasing auctions, wholesalers, whoever your source of purchasing is, you need to be able to tap into that market as well and use that inventory to give to your customer as well. We call that, selling on paper, right? That's my secret, I guess you could say. I can sell on paper. I don't necessarily have to have the unit here to be able to sell to you. If you're looking for a 2023 Range Rover, right? And you come into my showroom and I don't have it, my job is to not tell you, sorry, I don't have this product. You can go next door, right?
No, you got to source it.
I'm going to source it. I'm going to find it. And that's where the networks come in and whatnot. Because I've been doing this for so long, I've developed these relationships with other dealerships and different auctions and wholesalers so I can get that unit for my customer, right? That's my secret that I want to give to my audience. What's a secret that you can give about the restaurant industry or the hookah industry that they may not be able to find an answer to online or through their peers?
Absolutely. The thing is with that is that, see, we don't have that luxury that we can just source a food product at the time being that somebody else wants, right? So that's not our case. Our business is completely different. For us, it's, man, don't ever try to be the biggest and the baddest out there. Okay. Don't be envious of the big guy out there. Okay. Just succeed in what you're doing and be satisfied. Because the moment you get wrapped up in your competition. Correct. This is my secret. This is my business secret. And I'm being very honest. This is my advice to anyone is when you are doing what you're doing, just do the best at what you are doing, right? Don't worry about what your competition is doing. Because if you just do what you're doing, you're already ahead of the competition. Correct. Right? The day you start mimicking what your competition is doing, you're one step behind them now, right? And if you want to stay ahead of that curve, do what you're doing and do the best you are, because let other people follow you, because that's completely okay. That's a compliment to your business that they are copying your business now, right? Correct. So now you're ahead. Correct. That's the way you stay ahead. You cannot always be comparing yourself to other people constantly. Oh man, that guy opened up a bigger lounge. Oh man, that lounge looks fancier than mine. Oh man, this looks... You will never win that battle. Correct. There's always going to be a bigger fish in the pond. It's just that way. Yeah. That's life, and that's business too. Be good at what you do. Be the best at what you do, and let that play out, right?
For sure.
Let people appreciate that,
100%.
and that's gonna be your key to your success, man. I completely believe in that.
I think that's huge. I think that's a really good advice because when I remember when Muse opened, I think within like maybe a year or 2 years, we had direct competition that started opening up in our area after seeing, what Muse was doing and offering. We saw a lot of it, and I remember we didn't even know.
Right.
We didn't even know our competition was there because we were so involved in our business.
Correct.
We had other customers or people
That would come
did you
inform
hear
us.
and most people are telling you because they want to see your reaction on
Correct.
how you feel.
Yeah. They still do that.
And it's going to be an ongoing thing. But the fact that we didn't really care, I don't think we didn't care. I just don't think it mattered because, like you said, bouncing off exactly what you said, we were just focused on what we were doing. And I remember in the beginning stages, we had a very limited menu. We were serving cold cut sandwiches, which no one was serving in all of Houston, halal cold cut sandwiches. And shortly after that, we started seeing cold cut sandwiches come around.
Absolutely.
Right. And, now you see a few more options there. So,
right.
But you haven't changed your strategy. You just said, people like what I do, which is why my business is running the way it's running. I'm not going to switch or change because a new competitor came in and dropped his price by $1 or $2. I think your biggest secret is the fact that you stuck to your gut and said, I know what value I'm providing when you come to my lounge. So even if it costs $1 or $2 more for your hookah, I can guarantee you
that's going to be the best that you
that
can get.
This is the best option you have.
Absolutely.
Even if you're paying $2 more.
Correct.
Right? Because I remember that pricing war that you talked about, $1 cheaper, $2 cheaper.
It happened immediately.
It happened to us. I remember where in the very beginning, people were like, well, they're serving their hookahs for $12.99 when yours is $15 or whatever the numbers were. I don't remember exactly. And I remember we had a conversation. Are we supposed to reduce our price?
Right.
And I remember you told me straight up, you're like,
no,
this is our price because I know what I'm serving here. I know what I'm providing here. And you stuck to it.
Right. And then the clients that want to pay that price, maybe if there's a premium $1 or $2, you can afford to pay that, then this is your place.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And that's how you stick to your guns. You stick to your guns, you stick to your product, make sure your quality is there. Quality is important, right? If you're charging $1 more, they're going to expect that quality from you.
100%.
So give it to them. Man, this is another thing. We talk about this personally. We've never ever spoken to anyone about this. We see our direct competition driving around Muse all the time.
Yeah.
Have you not?
I don't think it's just Muse. I think we see it at the dealership. We see it at our stores.
I literally have seen, hey, and you know who you are, all of y'all. I've seen you drive by. I have windows in my restaurants, man. I can see your car. Yeah. So, and it's fun. I mean, we're just joking, but it's funny. But it happens all the time. We've seen, direct competitors driving by the lounge to see how busy we are, right? I don't remember once, ever. I can swear on this. I've never, ever, even on a slow night, gone across the street just to see what anybody else is doing.
And even if you do see it, there's no value that it provides you besides pissing you off and getting you in a bad attitude.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So what's the point? What's the point of me going there?
Correct.
Or driving by there? I've never even gone into a direct competition's restaurant unless I was invited.
Right.
Unless the owner knows me and has invited me. I've never been. Unless it was just such a cool place that it actually interested me, that I actually want to go spend my money there.
Then you'll actually go there and visit.
Then I'll go there. I don't mind going to other hookah lounges. That's what I like doing.
Yeah.
But just because solely because, it's my competition, I need to go see my competition. I've never done that. Again, there always going to be someone newer, someone more shinier, someone more prettier, someone more bigger. And that's okay. That's part of the business. There's always going to be someone. Just do you and focus on your growth. Have a business plan. And hit those check marks every quarter or annually, biannually, whatever they are. And just go on along that. If you're on your plan, you're going to succeed, right?
Yeah, because you have a plan.
You have a plan
for a reason,
right?
100%.
If you're focused on someone else's plan, neither are you going to slow him down and neither are you going to achieve yours, right?
Yeah.
Focus on you. Focus on your product. And that's all it takes, man. That's literally what it takes.
I'll be honest with you. I know we live together, but I honestly haven't had a conversation like this with him in a very, very long time.
We don't get the time.
We barely don't get to see each other. Our schedules are different. I work more in the morning times. He works more in the evening time. So our times never overlap. So we don't really get to have these conversations. So, but I think something that people would want to know about us. I think our biggest strength is that we're together.
Absolutely.
And that we find ways to work together but separate.
Yep.
Right? Like you said, if you put me and him in one room, we will butt heads all day long. Like we have
we've gotten close to killing each other.
Yeah, we've actually fought at our own business because
Right.
I want to do something one way and he wanted to do another way. What we didn't realize at that time. So if you do have a business partner that you're planning on doing something with, understand that you two are two different people. And
It's a marriage.
yeah, and both of you have things that are good about you and things that are bad about you, right? So he has some qualities that are great, and he has some qualities that are complete shit.
Yeah.
Like, completely honest. And I'm the same way because I have good qualities about certain things, but there's other things where I'm not even willing to listen, right? Because I'm like, no, that's not how I do it. So I think when it comes to partnerships, most ships do drown and sink, in my opinion. But if you are going to get into a partnership, make sure it's someone that you trust. I think that's the number one key. Where if someone pulls money out of a bank account, you don't have to question them, why did you pull it out? Because you trust them that much. Otherwise, it's never going to work. The trust factor is so huge. We've been through different partnerships within the dealership as well.
Successful ones and failed ones.
Successful ones and failed ones. And in both of those, or 3 times, 4 times, however many times it was, there was always something to learn. I think what most people, and including myself, I hate failure. Like for me, when I'm failing at something, I just feel defeated. I don't feel motivated to do something. But as I'm growing and as I'm maturing as a business owner, I am starting to realize that those failures are just as important as those successes because those failures teach you a lot. I do have cars in here, like we started off this podcast saying, on social media, everything looks shiny and bright and fun and whatnot. There are cars that we lose money on. I can think on the top of my head, there are many units that we're going to lose money on, and it's completely okay. But if you met me 2 years ago and I told you I'm going to lose on a car,
you wouldn't even sell it.
He would just be like, bro, what's wrong with you? Go to work. And I'm like, no, I lost.
There's really good advice that I heard regarding what you're saying is failure is a neighbor of success. Okay. If you don't fail, you might not just succeed. It's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Right. You fail, you learn from that, and you use it, and you use it to your success. Right. And that's just how it goes. It's part of that's business in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, guys, I really appreciate all of you joining us here. I hope we were able to give you some good advice, teach you some things about our businesses. I'm going to be talking about the dealership throughout this whole season where we're going to be doing the podcast. So if you're really interested about PCM, you're going to be hearing from me all the time. For my future guests, you should be receiving an email or I'm going to contact you somewhere or another to get you onto this podcast to learn about you and your successes and failures. So be on the lookout for that. Like always, please like, share, and subscribe our podcast. It really helps us. And if there's any other questions you have, feel free to comment those questions and I will promise I will answer them for you. Thank you for joining in. Shaz, thanks for being here, for being my brother, for being my business partner, or for being a successful businessman himself, just like me. Thank you.